Hello my dear YouTuber friends, and I hope you're all keeping well. Welcome to this new video. In this video I'm going to show you a fix for the Velocity One throttle. When I go to my menu, options, and I come out, you can hear my throttle's cut out. I have to re-engage it to get it back working again. I'm going to show you quite an easy fix for that, quite an easy solution. And I'm also going to talk about toggle reverse thrust and hold reverse thrust. After Sim Update 7, these change and the way they operate changed. They do still work. You're just going to have to change your ways and habits to get them working. I'm going to show you a way around that and a bit of a solution. There is a bit of a caveat. Doesn't quite work the way they used to work for now. But I'm going to show you how you can get them up and working. So let's not hesitate, let's get into the video. So let's first address the throttle issues with the Velocity One. Let's just remind you, if I press escape, go to options, or press the button on the Xbox controller to go to options, or on the yoke system, come back out, go to the sim, you can hear my throttle has been nulled, and I have to move it slightly to re-engage it and then reconfigure trim and goodness knows what. Not very optimal. An easy fix for this one. Go to your options again. Actually, let's just throttle back a little bit so I'm not overspeeding. Go to your options, go to control options. Ensure if you're on PC, you've got your throttle quadrant selected. Remember, you've got two boxes on PC, one for the yoke system, or yoke, and one for the throttle. On the Xbox, you just have one box for your Velocity One. Under this part, under this menu, go to Power Management, click on that and then click on Throttle. And as you can see, we got two different throttles assigned there. We got this lever here, the first lever. So if I move that up and down, you can see that's assigned to the throttle. You've got this lever here, the black one for the GA lever, basically GA aircraft. That's assigned as throttle as well. So when I go back to the sim, because this is down on my throttle quadrant, it's thinking I don't have any throttle engaged. Easy solution, just click in the box, make sure you're picking the right one. So I'm going to move that lever up and down to make sure I've got the right one. Click in the box there, clear current input, and validate. And apply and save those changes. So I've only got one throttle now, which is the GA lever, the black lever. Go back, resume. My sim's happy. It's no longer nulling my throttle, and it can save you a bit of a nightmare. So that's all good. Now let's go on to the reverse thrust section. Okay, so for this part of the video where I'm talking about reverse thrust, I do want to show you something on the Velocity One flight yoke system before we move on. Now this part, you can see that detent there, so you can pull these down. That should be some kind of reverse thrust. Let's see if I can focus in on the screen. If I go search by input there, go in that box, and I pull these down, nothing picks up in that box. These four detents don't seem to be working. Let's just try that again. We'll just try one of them this time. So search by input. When you click in that box and you press a button, something should show. Click that down. Nothing's coming up. If I click another button, oops. Actually, let's go back. It only lasts for a couple of seconds, that search by input. So let's go back. If I move one of these levers up, you will see it's picked up what's in there. So these detents don't seem to work before I move on with this video. I just don't think that's patched in on the current simulator, at least on PC. I've not tried that on the Xbox, but my thoughts and suspicions is that it won't work on that either. So let's now go on to show you some kind of workaround for toggle and hold reverse thrust. Okay, so I'm loaded in at runway 27 or 27 at London City Airport. As we're talking about reverse thrust, I thought I would load in one of the airliners. So this is the A320, just the default version. I'll come back to that in a moment. Let's just go to options. For this test, I've got my Logitech flight yacht system attached, so I'm in control options. From options, doesn't show the throttle quadrant as a picture, but on my middle lever on my throttle quadrant, I've got reverse thrust. If I pull it right back to that detent, as you can see, I've got it all set up, and that still works. It still shows as toggle reverse thrust. But let's go back to the sim, jump into the aircraft, and actually I want to bring the camera down so you can see the throttle system, throttle quadrant, and the aircraft runway, or the runway ahead of us at the same time. Just going to release the parking brakes and throttle up. So say for this instance I'm coming into land, so I've just landed, rolling along the runway. Don't actually have my rudder pedals set up, but it's okay, I can use the yoke to correct that. Go to reverse thrust. As you can see, nothing happens. If I toggle that reverse thrust and start thrusting again, I just keep moving down the runway. That reverse thrust is not actually working for me. So let's just brake there before we come off the edge of the runway. And just stick the parking brakes back on for now. So yeah, if I go to that throttle reverse thrust, it doesn't even seem to move here on the throttle quadrant in your airline, and nothing seems to happen there. So I'm going to show you a workaround for that. Okay, so back in the cockpit of the Airbus, just press escape and go to control options. Now I've got a profile set up as test, so I can test this. Under power management and throttle, these are the things I've got assigned. I've assigned buttons. It's on the throttle quadrant. I'll show you a picture of where on screen. I've got T1 as hold reverse thrust. And I've got T2 as toggle reverse thrust. Let's show you what these do in the sim. So again, I'm going to bring the view down so you can see the throttles. Release the parking brake. I'm just going to throttle up. Simulate some kind of landing. So I've just come into land, let the aircraft gain momentum down the runway. Typically by this time you would throttle back. I'm going to throttle up instead and hit toggle reverse thrust, the button. Look what happens. By this time of course you'll be braking as well. It's gone down. As you can see, the throttle quadrant has indeed engaged reverse thrust. With any luck, as we slow down completely, you should see us moving backwards. So that toggle reverse thrust works fine. Remember, when you get to this stage and you've stopped, know your throttles. Any movement of those throttles while you're in toggle reverse thrust will just take you back up to full throttle. Do be aware of that. While I'm in that view, I can show you the hold reverse thrust. Works in the same way, but you keep your finger on the button. So I'll throttle way up, coming into land, rolling down the runway. I'm going to hold the hold reverse thrust button. And there you go. Again, I'll be braking at this point. And if I go to my left window as I brake completely, you should see the aircraft reversing because we've actually we're now going into reverse. Remember, if you release that hold reverse thrust, your throttle will go up again. So I've nulled my throttle and I braked completely rather. So that's the solution. Let's just quickly show you that again. So I'll do toggle reverse thrust, as I know a lot of people have been asking about that. So I'm coming down, coming into land. Let the aircraft gain momentum. We're going to run out of runway at this rate, but never mind. So I'm bringing back the throttle and I'm braking. Full throttle, toggle reverse thrust, and brake, brake, brake. You're going to brake a lot faster because you've got reverse thrust engaged. When you've stopped, bring your throttle back to null your throttle completely. And then engage your parking brake, and then you've landed safely. Or roll down the runway to go and park at a parking gate. So that's the solution. It's not ideal. People like myself want to use the detent, but for now that's a workaround solution. Let me know your thoughts below. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a like. Subscribe for many more flight simulator videos on their way. And I'll see you soon.